Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of the Spartan Shadows podcast. I'm your host Chris, and I got my other hosts with me, Zach and Emmett. And we are here today recording Sunday night after all the crazy festivities of the weekend. But we want to get this episode out to you to give you some time next week to marinate on some stuff and get you ready for MSU basketball's big potential. We're also going to recap Michigan State hockey winning not a national championship, but a Big Ten championship this week. We've got some baseball news to discuss, a couple of football news. We got some gymnastics. We got a couple women's basketball notes. We got a lot to catch up on. So thanks for tuning in with us. A lot to be excited for. And of course, the big one today against Wisconsin. So, Zach, Emmett, how you guys feeling?
Good. Can't be much to complain about at this point. We have a lot of teams playing extremely well right now. We got a lot of teams in good positions heading into the tournament. A good start to the year as well for certain sports too. So we had the Big Ten tournament coming up for the women's, which it seems like they're going to be the sixth seed. Obviously, the men's team have a couple really good and huge important games coming up next week as well. So can't really complain too much. And then you got also, like you were saying, Chris, you got men's hockey winning a Big Ten championship, and then you also have, yeah, you just have a men's basketball team that can very much compete and win a Big Ten championship depending on the kind of results that happen as well. So exciting times. But how about you, Emmett?
I'm doing good. Like all the rest of you, I'm very excited. Depending on how everything plays out, Michigan State could be clinching the Big Ten men's basketball regular season title by Thursday. So that's always exciting when you won't have to go into that last game of the year crossing your fingers, praying that everything goes right. You're not going to have that pressure. Maybe some people won't like this, but you won't have that pressure of a win and you win against your rival and you win it all. But at the same time, I'm very excited. The Michigan State students get to be on spring break, so all of the basketball players in this lead up get to just focus on ball, don't have to worry about classes. Jackson Kohler in the locker room post game didn't even realize that till someone pointed it out to him, and he's like, "Oh, so I just get to focus on basketball this week?" So that was a great moment. So yeah, it's a very. I feel like I say this almost every time, especially when we're winning. It's a very exciting time for MSU.
Absolutely, and we'll stick right there. I know Emmett and I talked about it a little bit in our rapid reaction after the game, but MSU defeats Wisconsin 71-62 today. Big raucous crowd at the Breslin Center. It was honestly felt like the Breslin Center of old, which is a good thing. Great environment, great game. Aiden Akins was hot. He found his shot a little bit today. Went 4 of 9 from three, added 19 points. Jackson Kohler with a huge double-double. He played probably what I think his best game defensively and rebounding wise. He set a new career high in rebounds with 16, added 10 points to go with it. Showing off in front of his mom and dad in the crowd. And then Jace had 11 points, a lot coming down the stretch in the second half when we needed him. Just a good all-around effort. And it was a lot of fun. I'm kind of at a loss for words because it was I was a little nervous going into this game. Wisconsin has a very talented offense, like we talked about last week in the podcast, and I was curious to see how the defense was going to respond and handle that. And another game, same old, same old. I think we held Wisconsin to one field goal in the last 4 minutes and 59 seconds or so, like that. Total lockdown again in the second half when it was needed most, and that's how you come away with a 9-point victory and put yourself in the driver's seat for a Big Ten championship. Zach, what was your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, so the defense definitely took a little bit of a step back on the last 4 minutes and 59 seconds. We gave up one field goal. We only gave up one field goal comparatively to giving 0 to Purdue, Michigan, and Maryland. So outside of like the one struck up three by Fletcher, which doesn't really, in my opinion, count or matter too much. So took a little bit of step back. We need to get back to shutting down the other team with no field goals in the last 5 minutes, but can't complain too much about that. But I thought this was a game that Michigan State obviously came out and had a slow start, and that seems kind of what Michigan State has done recently. It also seems like this team loves getting down at halftime by like 2 or 4 points and then goes on a run in the second half. This really seems like a second half team. I think I looked in like 8 of their last 10 games. I believe they're down at halftime and end up winning, obviously, quite a few of those. But I thought Michigan State did some really good things. I thought that Cohen Carr, obviously, the alley oop behind the back dunk is just absolutely insane. I know Emmett was saying before we started recording that that's probably like a top 3 or top 5 dunk for Cohen Carr, and that's not really putting it lightly because I feel like you can probably say almost every single dunk is a top 5.
You get new ones every week.
Exactly, you get new ones every week.
Yeah.
Basically, so, but I really want to give credit to Cohen here. Obviously, his dunk and then his tomahawk dunk towards the end that kind of got the crowd going a little bit when Wisconsin finally cut it down to 1 after we went up 9. I really want to give credit to Cohen on Tanjay. I thought he did a very, very good job on guarding Tanjay. Tanjay is not easy whatsoever. He's probably Wisconsin's best player. He only had 11 points in this game, and a
Two
lot
in
of
the
those points, yeah, 2 in the second half. A lot of those points were really, really difficult ones, and really the only 3 I believe he hit was the first shot of the game. But one thing I do want to say, and this is going to maybe be some people might agree with me, some people might disagree with me, but I really do think this game completely changed when Cohen Carr had that behind the back alley oop dunk because right before that, MSU was kind of starting to stall a little bit. Wisconsin was getting going. There was 13-6 run. There should have been probably an and one by John Tandre. We can talk about reffing and how reffing was again pretty bad for both ends in my opinion. There was a couple of calls that went in Michigan State's favor that I'm like, I don't know about that one, but thank you. I appreciate that, Jeffrey Anderson. But there's a couple of them that you're like, what are you doing, Jeffrey Anderson? Like, what are you doing, Heinies? That's not even a foul. So that's just Big Ten refereeing. But overall, I thought this was a game that Michigan State obviously really needed if they wanted to win. I believe Dr. Green and White, I think, posted or tweeted something that there's like in his research, what he thinks there's like an 87% chance or something like that that Michigan State wins it outright or something like that, or like at least tied. And then there's like a 3% chance that Michigan does. So obviously, Michigan State's very much in the driver's seat because of Illinois, obviously being Michigan. But Jackson Kohler was just a beast on offensive rebound. Like Chris was saying, 16 rebounds. I don't know how many of those were offensive rebounds, but probably quite a few if I would have to guess. Carson Cooper, I thought had some good moments. I think he's been very, very good lately. And obviously, you might say, like, yeah, is he the most athletic guy? Is he the best center in the Big Ten? No, but he's been giving us quality minutes. He's deserves praise for what he's been doing. Defensively, he's been good. They love that alley-oop to Carson Cooper, which worked great in this Wisconsin game several different times. One thing I would have to say, Trey Howman shooting kind of concerns me a little bit. I believe he's like 3 or 4 out of like his last like 17 to like 20 from 3, so a little bit concerning there. But love seeing Jaden Akins start to hit some threes because I feel like this team is going to their ceiling really kind of depends on shooting the 3. And overall, I thought we shot the 3 pretty well today, 33%, 9 for 27. We almost had 10 threes. When's the last time we've done that?
Uh, yeah, for me, my big takeaway, like I covered most of it with Chris, but some of my big takeaways were just a lot of the players were able to get the scoring done when Jaden Akins kind of fizzled out for the second half. Akins finished with 5 points in the second half, but most of that was due to you have Jace Richardson back in the lineup, who is appeared to be more the guy everyone kicks it out to score, and it's a lot easier to facilitate the opposing defense, and it led to more open players, open plays. And obviously, when you score 14 and a half, put four threes, and then your other points were off of an offensive rebound on your own missed 3, you're gonna get clamps on you. In addition to Carr guarding Tanji, Akins was the other one who primarily covered him, and you saw the results when a guy who Tom Izzo said is one of the favorites for Player of the Year in the conference, is clamped down to 2 points in a 2-point game at halftime. And both of those points were from the foul line, by the way. That says a lot about the team, that you're able to stop Wisconsin's leading scorer, the guy who makes their offense go. Yes, they were down a player today, but they still had 4 guys averaging 9 points per game heading into today. If you had told me Michigan State was going to score 71 today, I would think they would lose. If you had told me Wisconsin was scoring 62, I would know with 100% certainty that Wisconsin was going to lose today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we had mentioned it last episode that the clash of good defense versus good offense was going to be an interesting one to see. And I had expected that the Spartans were capable of doing this. I just didn't know. Sometimes you,
62.
yeah, it's just sometimes you see them get down and then things start to fall apart and you just get too lost too quickly and it's hard to recover. But you guys hit it on the head. I think that overall it was a really good team effort. There were a couple of issues I did want to point out that hopefully we can get fixed. First and foremost, the turnovers. I mentioned it a little bit earlier on our quick reaction. The turnovers were a little bit much. The further we go into these tournaments, the less you're going to want to turn over the ball because we can't allow free points off turnovers and allow those quick hitters when you're in fights in, Big Ten tournament or an NCAA tournament. The shot selection and everything, I thought the offense was running fine. I worry that if this team gets too down too much or has too much of a slow start, which it seems to have had of late in the tournament. We've seen it before where you get down a lot, and then MSU has the capability of clawing back and locking down on the other end. But if you're down too much, it's just sometimes it's too hard to.
How that is.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too much to claw back for a team that doesn't so far this year shoot the ball historically well from three. So. Now, if you're going to give me 33% to 35% every game from three for MSU, then that becomes a lot more doable if you get down. But so far this year, we haven't seen that at consistent levels. So hopefully the three-point shooting can continue, and that will also kind of alleviate some of the slow starts too. So other than that, yeah, keep rebounding, run, defend, everything that this team has been built on. You've heard it from opposing coaches over the last 5-6 games. This is what MSU of old felt like. This is a vintage Tom Izzo team. It can defend, it can rebound, it can get out in transition, and that's yeah. The free throws were a little rough today.
A little? I think we were sub.
Yeah, a little rough is putting it nicely, but
6 for
3. I'm gonna hopefully chalk that up to a little bit of anomaly, and we've been better for the majority of this year. But hit your free throws, defend, rebound, run in transition, and more often than not, this team's going to succeed. So kudos to the guys. Like we said, it puts you in position to win the Big Ten championship in the regular season outright now Thursday, thanks to Illinois' win against Michigan earlier. Well, win's putting it nicely, I guess. Illinois' beat down on Michigan earlier. So that sets us up for Thursday in Iowa. You can beat Iowa, and with a Maryland win against Michigan, that could win you a solo Big Ten championship. So a win, regardless by us, no matter what Michigan does, clinches at least a share. And then
MSU wins tiebreaker too with the Illinois victory. That was something tweeted out by Dr. Green and White. A victory over Michigan loss to Illinois means that if Michigan wins out via common opponents, Michigan State wins all of the tiebreakers for 1 seed. Obviously, the Big Ten still splits it. Before this, if Michigan State and Michigan won out till MSU beat them, no, I believe Michigan State would have to drop one, but they ended up tied in standings. They would still each get the banner, each get a trophy, regardless of Michigan State sweeping them. However, since Michigan State has the win and Michigan lost today, it means that MSU just needs to win, obviously win out, as always, and then you outright have it, or Michigan loses to Maryland, and one more win by Michigan State, regardless of opponent, means they win outright.
Yep, magic number is down to 1 if you want to put it in baseball terms. So a Michigan loss or state win gives us at least a share with tiebreakers for the 1 seed. So yeah, Iowa City Thursday, or not Iowa City, Iowa on the road Thursday. And like we said earlier, it's been a little bit of a house of horrors for MSU of late, but this Iowa team is not as loaded as it was in the past when you've seen the Luka Garzas and all the McCaffrey kids playing and all that sort of thing. So, um, still going to be a tough task. It's hard to play there. Um, Zach had mentioned earlier today too. Iowa's women's team is also going to be playing MSU's women's team at the same time. So maybe we'll get some split fandom because Iowa does have a lot of women's basketball fans there. Maybe could make the crowd a little bit less hostile. Who knows? But I do like that we have this game as kind of the buffer between Wisconsin and Michigan. And Emmett mentioned with spring break, just focus on basketball, rest, recover, get ready for Thursday, get ready for Sunday, and give it everything you got to hang another banner home. You guys got anything else you want to add for basketball?
Just
win.
just control what you can control. Control the controllables, basically. Like Izzo, I think in his press conference before this Wisconsin game, basically he's like, hey, like, we shouldn't be, like, dependent on anyone. Like, just do what we do, just continue to win, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day what anyone else does. If we do what we can do, if we win these games, then we win the Big Ten. And that's exactly where Michigan State is at right now. They have the ability to at least clinch a share on Thursday. If you go into Iowa, obviously, like you're saying, Chris, it's been a house of horrors for us in the past. It just doesn't matter how you win it. It's just, at the end of the day, just get the win. And there's the 11th banner in the Breslin for Izzo, if that's the case. If it ends up not being that case, then guess what? You're still going to have to win on Senior Sunday if you want to win the Big Ten against your rival, which for some fans, there might be like, yeah, I want that. And obviously I'm kind of that way too. But you know what? I would love a banner. And I don't care how we get a banner. All I want is that banner hanging up in the rafters.
Yep.
I'd love better sleep on Saturday night heading into Sunday. I'll just say that. But
absolutely.
Also, one thing, this Iowa team, they are going to come out motivated. They basically need to win this if they want to even make the Big Ten tournament, with it being down to 15 this year. The bottom three seeds are staying at home and their season's done. So these players are going to be playing for the seniors, playing for their guys. They don't want to have their season end. They want to go and effectively continue the season and hope to scrap their way from the 15 seed to the Big Ten title and get that auto bid, because that's their only hope of continuing the season. But this Iowa team doesn't exactly look great on paper. It obviously, I think there's a lot of traps, and this screams trap game to me. Granted, last time I said it screamed trap game to me, I believe was Minnesota, and the Spartans blew them out, but
you got to take care of what's in front of you first, and Tom Izzo knows that more than anybody, so should have the boys ready to roll, and especially with everything that's on the line. Ignore the what could be or what they are not, and just know that you're playing Thursday for a championship, and
for sure,
that should be enough motivation. That should be all the motivation you need. And speaking of championships, let's turn the page over to our wonderful men's hockey team, who thanks to a little help from our friends down in Happy Valley, MSU clinches a share of the Big Ten championship in hockey and the number one overall seed in the Big Ten tournament, which starts next week. Obviously, we ended up tied in the standings with Minnesota, but we holding the tiebreaker because we beat them 4-0 this year. Gives us the 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament, the first round bye, home ice throughout the tournament, all that fun stuff that goes with it. And banner number 2, regular season banner number 2 for Adam Nightingale in 3 years. What he's done to this program is truly remarkable. The year before he came in, MSU had won 7 games. We hadn't been in the NCAA tournament since 2012. Adam Nightingale comes in, and within his 3rd season, he's won 2 regular season championships, a Big Ten tournament championship, made a Frozen Four, and is looking to add to that with a Big Ten tournament championship and maybe more this year. So it's really incredible. I'm super happy for the upperclassmen and the coaching staff that have really fought this year to get this team where it needs to be. Of course, the young guns too, and it was a total team effort. They had to take care of business this weekend in South Bend, and they did. They won Friday night and then won yesterday 5-2. I'd mentioned it a little bit. Notre Dame, unfortunately, isn't as good as they've been in years past. They're permanently penned in for last place in the Big Ten this year. Unfortunately, their coach Jeff Jackson is retiring or is no longer going to be at the helm after 20 seasons in South Bend. So kind of a rough year for Notre Dame, but still, it was senior weekend there. It's a tough place to play. Notre Dame still has a lot of talent on that team, so it was a tough ask for the Spartans to go in and take care of business, and they did. And thankfully, Sergeyev, the goalie for Penn State, was still riding his hot streak after beating us last
Goalie.
weekend. And the power of the hot goalie, they beat Minnesota Friday night in overtime, and that was all the Spartans needed to get their share of the championship. So, guys, did you want to add anything from how the games fared this weekend in South Bend?
I'm just happy that after, I don't want to say, it feels weird to say a disappointment of senior day, like the senior weekend, but at the same time, in Michigan State hockey terms, the new Michigan State hockey terms under Nightingale, that is a relative disappointment for the senior weekend. It was great to see them be able to rebound from that and still be able to get that by, I think, especially since you're going to be getting the worst remaining seed because of how seeding works for the Big Ten hockey tournament. That is a huge advantage for the Spartans and their ability to remain well rested and ready to go.
Yeah,
They don't play the extra 3 also, which huge plus. You don't have an extra 2 games minimum. Huge advantage.
yeah, no, I definitely agree, and it also kind of probably lacks up the whole idea of MSU going to the Toledo for the NCAA tournament as well, which
So,
is kind of nice, obviously, because it's really close to East Lansing, or probably, I don't want to say really close, but the closest kind of region you can get to
Closest
East
we're gonna get.
Lansing.
yeah.
So it's kind of nice being able to probably play there. It's not like guaranteed, but kind of probably wraps up that whole idea. I'd be shocked if Michigan State doesn't get that. But it's just nice to getting a sweep of Notre Dame. Obviously, want to get back-to-back Big Ten championships, but also get a little bit of momentum kind of going to Big Ten. I know that Penn State has been really hot. I think at points Michigan State played really well against Penn State, but I think they're kind of struggling putting the puck in the net several times again. It probably had to do with a hot goalie, but nice getting 5-2 wins. It you can definitely tell without Red Savage. He isn't like the most like go-to scorer kind of guy, but he's like a really big leader for Michigan State. It seems like things have kind of I don't want to say struggled, but like things have kind of like cooled down a little bit for Michigan State since that injury. But I feel like this weekend things kind of started to pick up a little bit, which is obviously great because you want to be playing the best hockey you can going into the Big Ten tournament and going into the NCAA tournament because it's one game, and if you lose that game, you're done. And we've seen what that happened to Michigan State last year, sadly.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about losing Red, unfortunately, like you said, he's not your leading scorer, but he's the captain, he's the leader of this team, and he's also a really good two-way forward. He can play defense from the forward spot. He can get back and help on the back check and forecheck effectively going into the offensive zone. And just losing a guy like him, I think it's really kind of thrown off the flow of the offense and defense a little bit. So nice to see them get to Notre Dame. Yes, a little bit of a down opponent, if you want to say, but still a very talented team and kind of figure out a couple things, hopefully, and start moving forward. Emmett kind of alluded on it, but the Big Ten tournament, it does start next weekend. MSU will not be playing, as I mentioned. The seeds are as followed. MSU had the 1 seed. Minnesota ended up with the 2 seed. Ohio State has the 3 seed. Michigan got the 4 seed. Penn State got the 5 seed, Wisconsin the 6 seed, Notre Dame the 7 seed. So the first round of the tournament, which starts next weekend, as Emmett said, it's a best of 3 series. Your matchups will be Notre Dame at Minnesota, Wisconsin at Ohio State, and then Penn State at Michigan. So best of 3, you got to win 2 to move on, and then MSU will play the lowest remaining seed that is left. So
And you're telling me Michigan gets to play against a hot
yeah,
goaltender.
that was my favorite part of the whole thing, and I think that's actually my favorite series, just because Michigan is the more talented team overall, but Sergeyev's been playing crazy. Aiden Fink's the leading scorer in the conference for a reason, so it's going to be an interesting one. So I think that's going to be a really good series to watch. All 3 first round series that start next weekend. Game 1s will be on Friday at their respective arenas. game 2 Saturday, and if a game 3 is necessary, they play Sunday. So could potentially have 3 games in 3 days for some of these teams, which in hockey is an awful lot of gameplay and an awful lot of wear and tear. So I'm really glad MSU avoided that. I wrote an article kind of breaking it down for Spartan Avenue. That should hopefully be up this week. But I think we have actually 3 good series. Unfortunately for Notre Dame, they get to run into Minnesota, who's almost just as equally as good as Michigan State. So they don't get a break there either. But other than that, I think the Wisconsin-Ohio State series and the Michigan-Penn State series are going to be 2 good ones. So every first-round game will be on Big Ten Plus for those of you who have that and want to stream it. And then the semifinals in round 2, everything moves over to Big Ten Network for those 2 games, and then the finals as well. Michigan State will play, March 15th, I think, is that Saturday, the following Saturday.
Yep.
That game will be at Munn. Don't know who we play yet, obviously. And then the winner of that will play the winner of the other game. And so long as Michigan State wins, every game will be at Munn. So those of you in the East Lansing area, as soon as tickets go on sale, try to grab them because if anything like last year has to tell you, those games will be a rocket. I personally like MSU's chances. I think if I had to pick it, my predictions, which are in the article, I think MSU is going to get matched up against Penn State again. I think they will beat Michigan. So maybe a revenge game in store for the 15th, potentially. So we'll see, but we got a long way to get there. NCAA tournament-wise, MSU is pretty much locked into a 1 seed, barring a collapse by Boston College in the next couple weeks. I don't see us passing them for the overall 1 seed. So like Zach said, we'll probably be pretty locked into that Toledo regional and then the 1 seed out of that region. So, but it'll be interesting to see where everybody else falls because, as I alluded to on the podcast last week, there's still some lower seeds in the NCAA tournament up for grabs. And unfortunately, some of the lower seeds may be those teams that are running hot right now and trending in the right direction, like Penn State or like a couple other seeds that maybe you don't want to play in a winner-take-all 1 game. So it'll be interesting to see. But as for now, we can only take what we were given, and we were given a championship last night, so I'm not complaining too much. Congrats again to the boys and Coach Nighty. A remarkable turnaround. Remarkable turnaround. I kind of alluded this into the article too. So much so that you're seeing Coach Nightingale's name thrown around as potential candidates to coach Team USA in the Olympics next year. So you could see NHL coach Adam Nightingale, hopefully not permanently, just as a Olympic figure every 4 years, but he's really done an amazing job. So I'm kind of surprised he hasn't started getting rumored up for more NHL jobs or higher upper echelon things. So congrats to the staff. You guys have anything else you wanted to mention on hockey before we turn the page quickly?
Nope.
All right. Well, then unsuccessfully as effective. This transition's not going to be quite as good. Moving over to baseball. The baseball team running hot again. We mentioned going into the last podcast that they were 23rd in the country and drawing Harvard this weekend. And well, they did a good job of dismantling Harvard. So they won both games yesterday and today, today's Sunday. So they won Friday and Saturday. And I believe today too, didn't they? I didn't see the final.
If I had a broom, I would have it on the camera right now. Clean sweep.
Real clean because it was 3 games that weren't exactly the closest to that, but they took care of business, and it's what you like to see. Coach Boss has the guys running on all levels. Solid pitching, a lot of hitting and clutch hitting at that. How'd you feel about the weekend series?
Yeah, lots of home runs. Yesterday as a team, the team combined for a cycle of home runs. So we had a grand slam, 3-run shot, 2-run shot, and a solo home run. So not one individual, that would have been really cool, but as a team, love seeing that. Had a grand slam today. I think we had maybe a 3-run home run today as well. Scored 13 runs on 7 hits. So obviously the bats came a little bit alive this weekend. Now, with that being said, and I'm happy with how they played, if you watch this Harvard team, they're not the best, to put it lightly. They're currently projected, at least prior to the season, to finish 6th in the Ivy League. So obviously not necessarily great. They haven't won a single game this year, but still, like putting up as many runs as they did with the pitching performances they've had. Joseph Jurwa again, fantastic on Friday.
Machine.
Yeah, just great. As he's had, I believe, 4 straight games of over 10 strikeouts, which is crazy. Then we got pretty good performances from our starters the last 2 days. And then obviously when you go only 7 innings because you have a 10-run lead, just the offense just continues to have big innings. They've gotten a few guys that weren't the stars that have gotten to play and gotten experience. And this schedule is off to a great start. It's going to get harder once Big Ten play starts to come up, so you want to just continue to pile on these wins. The one start for Michigan State, best since 2016. They start playing next week. I think they're going to start playing a little bit better teams. Like you have UAB coming in, which is pretty good. You have Michigan at home March 12th, so we're 10 days away from playing a game at home, which is crazy that we're going to be playing baseball in March, but it is
Hey,
what it is.
home opener Michigan. I can't complain about that.
I would love to see you at that game, Emmett. Sit outside and watch the baseball game. Would love to see you there.
I believe that's the same day that pending the postage, I would be for the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
Funding
Oh,
purposes.
that's the reason. That's the reason you're not going is because it's not because you love MSU baseball, right? It's because you're going to be at the Big Ten tournament.
I'm gonna be at the Big Ten tournament, man.
Somebody's got to be down in Indy.
We're gonna ignore Michigan State not playing till Friday, but free basketball is free basketball.
No, I'm just poking fun at you, but no, love what MSU baseball is doing. Just need to continue to find ways to win. Obviously, you're not going to go all year with one loss, but beat the teams that you should be, and that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, and hopefully, I know Harvard is not the best team or the best pitching team, but hopefully you can get confidence from those home runs, confidence from drawing the walks. I mean, granted, non-competitive pitches, but details. Hopefully you can use success to translate it when you start playing the teams that, no offense Harvard fans, plug your ears, but these teams that actually matter.
Well, in baseball, if anything, is a game of streaks. Like if you're performing well at the plate and if you're on a hot streak, it's such a mental boost, and you can carry that mojo into a game against top tier pitching and feel like you have a fighting shot, and not come in scared or thinking that you're not going to have a shot to do what you need to do. So keep the bats rolling. Hopefully, don't wear out all the runs out of them. But yeah, it's impressive start, and we love it. So congrats to Coach Boss and the fellas. We'll transition quickly over to MSU Gymnastics. I just wanted to put a quick hitter in. I don't think it's went final. If it has, I apologize. But when I last looked, MSU was competing against a few other teams at a meet today. They have started out conference play on fire, and we're just a couple weeks away from the Big Ten championships in gymnastics, and they only have one loss in conference play, and they are trending up at the right time yet again. So congrats to the ladies in the gymnastics realm. Hopefully putting together some wins and maybe make another run like they have in the past few years to go through the Big Ten finals and the NCAA finals too. That would be great to see. Congrats to the ladies over there and their efforts, and hopefully keep that going.
I can confirm that they did win tonight, so they beat the other 3 teams. Won by over a point to everyone else, which
nice.
I'm not obviously probably the most knowledgeable about that, but what I do know is that is a lot in gymnastics. So
yes.
Good win by them over there. The only loss is to number 3 in the country, UCLA, which, from what I remember, I believe we had the lead into the last event. Yeah, and then turns out UCLA is really good at the floor, and I think they only beat us by like 2.5 or something like that. So
yeah, it was
we were almost there.
Yeah, it was a close one. So MSU's gymnastics is firing on all cylinders. So yeah, good luck to them. Happy to see that rolling. And then I think we were just going to transition over to football really quickly. A couple pieces of news coming out. Four-star linebacker Charles White has officially changed his name to DJ White, as he announced on Twitter. He was always going by DJ anyway, so that works out perfectly for me, so I don't have to try to remember anything. But
Just changes it on the pronunciation card.
yep, exactly. So officially DJ, but we're excited for DJ to get on campus and rolling with the boys. Excited for spring football, of course. He is a four-star player coming in from
Orchard Lake.
yeah, was it Orchard Lake St. Mary's?
He will not be playing in spring ball, unfortunately. Orchard Lake, as it's a private school, they all have to finish out their final semester.
Yep.
That said, of all the Orchard Lake kids, both him and Bryson Williams, I expect both to receive major playing time, not redshirt this year. So excited for that. I could maybe see DJ White redshirting just because you have Brady Pretzeloff coming off that redshirt. You have a Moa coming in. But there are holes in that linebacker room with Cal Halliday gone and Jordan Turner gone and Aaron Alexander in the portal. So there is an opportunity for sure.
Yep, and he's really talented, so I wouldn't put it past him earning some playing time. So yeah, just make note of that for all the MSU football fans. We're ready for DJ White season to be starting here shortly. And then, Emmett, you had another football note about MSU making the top 7 for a highly touted recruit.
Correct. Speaking of linebackers, actually, 2026 linebacker from Kentucky, Jacob Savage, announced his top 7 as of March 1st. MSU is among the top 7. He joins Georgia Tech, Louisville, and then fellow Big Ten foes, Purdue, Indiana, Northwestern, Minnesota, Michigan State. Obviously, looking at that, you can see that if the Spartans don't land him, they're very likely to have to play against him in the upcoming future. As of right now, the only official announced visit for Jacob Savage is Indiana. They have officially locked in a visit, I believe, in June. With Michigan State making the top 7, hopefully that means there's enough interest. They can bring Savage in on a visit. Would love to have another 21 Savage on the team, except this time with a football jersey. 21 has historically been a Michigan State linebacker number, so we can only hope he'll be coming in right after Tatum graduates, or Tatum is there for a year. So it's definitely viable that we could have 21 Savage jerseys available in 2026.
Speaking of that, go buy a Red Savage jersey for hockey if you want one this year.
Smooth transition, there we go.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, that's the major football news. With spring ball starting here shortly, we'll have some more. We still want to get you guys kind of a recruiting roundup going in for the spring, and then we can kind of touch on spring practices and what the roster's shaping up to be like. And of course, we will keep you posted as spring ball comes in. You'll see some more transfer portals stuff coming out, and then once the summer hits, you have official visit season as the class of 2026 looks to wrap up their final visits and official visits throughout the summer, and then a lot of players like to commit before their senior season starts in September and October. So you'll see hopefully some official visits for some recruits and maybe some commitments and so on and so forth before the season starts. And not everybody will. Some like to wait till signing day or close to it in December. Some like to take visits to, games and see what the game day atmosphere is like and that sort of thing before committing. So if you don't see a lot of commitments in July and in August, don't freak out. But the summer marks kind of the start of the unofficial end of the recruiting cycle for the 2026 class. So we're slowly approaching more football news, I guess is my long-winded way of saying that. Football season's just around the corner. Obviously, you saw that with the NFL Combine this week and draft coming up shortly, so football never sleeps. But anything else you guys wanted to add overall? I have a stat we'll probably close on, but other than that, yeah, I'm about caught up with everything I need to say.
I think so as well. I think I'm good. I don't got any random stats, random facts to jump out right now.
What's your stat that we're gonna end on?
So just something cool I saw. MSU historically. It is one of only 5 teams ever to never finish outside the top 100 rankings in KenPom. It is, yeah, just a little factoid, I guess, courtesy of Mr. Ken Pomeroy. So that's a little fun fact I guess we'll end on. We appreciate everybody tuning in like always. This episode will go up in a couple of days for the week to get you primed for the rest of the MSU basketball. Thursday night in Iowa, Sunday at the Breslin Center for Michigan. Emmett will be there for that one, of course, like always.
Right.
And yeah, hopefully we have a banner to raise somewhere. Another one after hockey graciously got us a regular season one, and then who knows, maybe a couple more when the tournament plays start. If I can ask for a couple more things, so it feels good to have a really fun and good basketball team after the last couple of years of some historically not MSU type performances. So we're excited. A lot of big things coming up, and we'll be here to cover all of it for you. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate everything, and as always, go green.
Go away.
Go White.